Chief Keef is one of the most influential rappers to appear on the hip-hop scene in the last decade. The Chicago legend is estimated to be worth around $3 million, and he most certainly lives like it. Chief Keef has been in and out of several multi-million-dollar estates, as well as purchased hundreds of thousands of dollars in expensive jewelry ever since signing an impressive record deal with Interscope Records back in 2013 when he was just 17 years old. In addition to all the real estate and jewelry, Chief Keef has also been seen driving around luxurious BMWs and fast Lamborghinis that are worth over $200,000. Oh, and don't get me started on the Chief's massive collection of vintage arcade games that make his Los Angeles mansion look like the inside of an arcade. Curious on what else Chief Keef spends his money on? Well, then we got you covered. Here is an exclusive inside look at the $3 million lifestyle of Chief Keef. Now, Chief Keef wasn't always ballin' like he is now. As most of you probably know, Sosa grew up in the south side of Chicago, where he was surrounded by a lot of gang activity. The Chief then fell into that type of lifestyle at a young age and began selling drugs as a way to make some easy money. While not on the block, Chief Keef aspired to be a rapper and eventually pursued this dream after linking up with a producer by the name of DJ Ken after his uncle introduced the two. They soon began to make and release songs on YouTube, which eventually brought a fair amount of attention to Chief Keef's music. But things didn't take off until he started working with Young Chop, another producer from around the area. The now platinum duo dropped a song titled I Don't Like that quickly garnered millions of views online due to its wild energy and raw lyrics. Chief Keef then followed up I Don't Like with another smash hit called Love Sosa, which has over 115 million views at the time of this recording. The combination of I Don't Like, Love Sosa, and the Chicago gang lifestyle had just about every record label lining up to sign Chief Sosa. The Chief eventually signed with Interscope Records for an incredible $6 million deal. A first-time deal of that size is almost unheard of. For example, Juice WRLD, rest in peace, signed to Interscope Records as well, but for only $3 million, and we all know how talented and versatile he was. That $6 million deal let everyone know that Chief Keef was in fact the next big thing, but this deal quickly went south. One big concern everyone in the industry had about Chief Keef was the fact that he might be too gangster for the industry. He didn't listen to anybody and wouldn't show up to scheduled events such as interviews and music videos. Add up all his legal troubles as well and let's just say Interscope had enough of the Chief and decided to drop him in October of 2014. It's unknown how much of the $6 million he was able to keep since the deal fell through, but I can almost guarantee he pocketed $1 million or $2 million. Chief Keef then went on to sign one horrible record deal with billionaire troll Alki David's Film on TV. This deal was a 7-album 360 deal, meaning that Alki gets to keep a percentage of just about everything Chief Keef does rather than just the music sales and streams like most record labels do. This deal quickly went south as well due to Chief Keef and his management not cooperating with Film on TV. This was most likely done on purpose, in hopes to be dropped after he realized how bad of a deal it was. Alki David ended up suing the Chief for $4 million and repossessed the BMW i8 that he gave to Sosa as a gift.
Would you believe that none of these cars belong to me? They're all my wife's, and one repossessed from Chief Keef. All I have is my Scooty bike.
This eventually got settled and Chief Keef later signed to RBC Records, but it was unknown how much he signed for. Today, Chief Keef is said to charge between $15,000 and $20,000 per show, according to a random booking website that I found on Google. The Chief also gets around 4 million streams on Spotify each month, which equates to around $16,000 per month. His Apple Music streams are unknown, but let's just say he gets 2.5 million streams each month since Apple Music has less users than Spotify. 2.5 million streams on Apple Music would earn the Chief around $12,500 per month. Chief Keef's YouTube channel gets 3.8 million views per month, and various sites suggest that musical artists get a $3 CPM, which would mean that Chief Keef makes around $11,500 per month off his YouTube channel. In addition to the music, Chief Keef has a pretty awesome clothing line called Glow Gang, which is also the name of his own little crew. It's obviously unknown how much revenue this generates for the Chief, but to be safe, let's just say it's about $10,000 per month. Could be more, could be way less. In total, Chief Keef makes around $84,000 a month if he does 2 shows and maintains those types of streaming numbers. That's about $3,000 a day, $21,000 a week, and over $1 million per year. Not too bad for a savage from the O. So now that you got a rough estimate of what Chief Keef is making per month, it's time to show you what he spends that hard-earned cash on, with the first being his houses. The first home that Chief Keef splurged on when he got his first few checks was a home in Northbrook, Illinois, a rather wealthy neighborhood that was 40 minutes north of O Block. The 5,200 square foot home contains 6 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms for a set rate of around $5,000 per month. This is the same house that legendary music videos were filmed at for songs such as Macaroni Time, They Know, and Now It's Over. Unfortunately, Chief Keef was evicted and sued by the landlord after owing $9,400 in unpaid rent. This case was eventually settled, but the terms were unknown, as court dockets have just shown dismissed by prejudice, which means it's done and over with. You would think Chief Keef falling behind on rent would mean that he was broke, but that clearly wasn't the case since he was still signed with Interscope at the time. I guess it just shows how much Chief Keef really doesn't care, and his management fails to help keep his bills in order. After getting evicted from his Northbrook home, the Chief and the rest of the Glow Gang moved 10 minutes away to Northfield, another super wealthy area of Chicago. This new home was apparently being rented under Chief Keef's former manager's name for $7,500 a month, but that was most likely being paid by Sosa himself due to the fact that nobody probably wanted to rent to him after failing to pay his rent at the last place. This new home was a massive 6,950 square feet mansion with 6 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms, just like his last house in Northbrook. This is the same house seen in the Vice documentary where Chief Keef is just casually driving his ATV around his yard, completely destroying it in the process. The music videos to Love No Thoughties, Sitgo, and Ain't Done Turnin' Up were filmed at this house as well, but all good things come to an end, because after someone was shot in the home, Chief Keef and friends decided it was time to move on to the next mansion. And boy were the neighbors happy, because after the news broke out that someone was shot in the neighborhood, several neighbors told the Chicago Tribune that Chief Keef was a horrible neighbor, and that they couldn't stand all the ATVs driving around and the loud parties that took place at the house. One neighbor also said that we all knew that something bad was going to happen at that house, but I still can't believe it is happening in my neighborhood. After all the drama at Northfield, the Chief moved just 12 minutes north to a neighborhood called Highland Park. The new Glow Gang estate was a cool 5,625 square feet, and once again featured 6 bedrooms, but this time it had 6.5 bathrooms. A little upgrade for the Chief. It was unknown how much Chief Keef was paying to live here, but it doesn't really matter because shortly after, he was evicted from the home after falling $30,000 behind on rent. When this story hit the news, the landlord said Chief Keef was a good tenant besides not paying the rent, while neighbors described it as a nightmare, claiming that tons of people were coming and going from the house at all hours of the day. Between getting evicted and having other legal issues, Chief Keef decided that he had enough of Chicago and moved to beautiful Los Angeles in hopes to stay out of trouble and further his already successful music career. The Los Angeles neighborhood of choice was Woodland Hills, the same neighborhood Tupac resided in for quite some time. The home that the Chief picked out looked incredible. It was a 5,461 square foot home that featured 5 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, a beach entry pool, and a 1,000 square foot guest house as well. The Chief paid around $7,500 a month to live here, and it was totally worth it in my opinion, due to the fact that the move to California ended up keeping him out of trouble and away from the gang activity that comes from Chicago. It's also worth noting that Sosa made it through the whole lease without getting evicted and without missing one rent payment. A huge step for the Chief. The current house that Chief Keef is residing in is just 12 minutes east in a neighborhood called Tarzana. This home is the smallest one he's lived in, but it's definitely one of the most luxurious. It is 4,841 square feet and has just 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, and a large gate to secure the home, or so you would think. Because in late September of 2018, Chief Keef's new house was robbed at around 11 p.m. at night. The suspects apparently hopped the gate and threw bricks through his windows in order to enter the home. Cops arrived moments later and the suspects fled the scene. While fleeing, one of the suspects shot at the cops. The search for the robbers went on for 5 hours and ended with 2 people being arrested. Chief Keef was home at the time and told authorities that he was unaware of the break-in, even though they literally shattered his windows with bricks. It's unknown how much Chief pays to stay in the house, but a home in Los Angeles is never cheap, so I expect it to be quite expensive. In addition to the houses, Chief Keef has been seen in plenty of different cars throughout his career. One of those being the BMW X6 that he was arrested in after speeding down the freeway going 110 miles per hour. Chief Keef most likely purchased this car for around $65,000, but it's unclear whether or not he still owns the vehicle, as he's never really been seen in it ever since. Another car the Chief was seen cruising around in was the infamous BMW i8 that Alki David gave him and later took back from him after the deal they had fell through. The futuristic-looking BMW was worth around $150,000. The current car that Chief Keef is driving around in is the Lamborghini Urus, or what is known as the Lambo truck. If bought and not leased, then the Chief would have to pay around $210,000 for the vehicle. I also think Chief Keef owns a Hellcat as well, but I couldn't find much information on that. If so, those start at around $60,000. Another thing Chief Keef likes to splurge on is his jewelry. I can't even keep track of how many chains the Chief has purchased throughout his career, but man, is his collection nice. One of the chains that Chief Keef always wore that stood out to me was this one right here. This chain was handcrafted by the legendary jeweler Johnny Dang and can be seen in many of Sosa's old music videos. Sadly, the chain is no longer in the Chief's possession after an old associate named Boss Top stole the chain along with a few other items from his home a few years back. Another amazing piece from the Chief's collection is the Glow Gang Sun logo chain, as well as the Thoughtbreaker chain, which have to be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Chief Keef also owns several bust-down watches along with multiple rings and earrings as well. I have no idea how much his jewelry collection is worth, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was easily worth over $200,000. Now, if there's something the Chief likes as much, if not more, than his houses and jewelry, it's gotta be his electronics. Chief Keef is a self-claimed electronic fanatic. His current Tarzana home has over 18 4K TVs with 2 or 3 in each room, including the bathrooms. And connected to each TV is an Xbox One. The average price for a 65-inch 4K TV is around $1,000. So if the Chief has 18 TVs, then that comes out to be $18,000 in just TVs around the house. And if you include the Xboxes with that as well, then there's an additional $5,400, assuming that each Xbox costs $300. Chief Keef also collects old arcade games as well. In a Netflix show called Droppin' Cash, they had an episode where Chief Keef shows them around his Tarzana home, and his living room actually looks like one big arcade. Then, later in the episode, Chief Keef goes out and purchases a classic motorcycle arcade game for $4,700 to add to his collection. It's actually pretty awesome, and I totally recommend that you check it out if you're a fan of the Chief. Overall, I think it's safe to say that Chief Keef is living his best life. He went from living in the projects of Southside Chicago to a respected hip-hop artist living lavishly in his Los Angeles home. As for what he's up to career-wise, he seems to just be recording music casually and doing shows and festivals whenever it seems convenient. To be honest, the Chief seems more passionate about gaming rather than music, as it looks like he's been putting together his own esports team called the Glow Navy, which is awesome in my opinion. But maybe he should drop Almighty So 2 first. Well, there you have it, the $3 million lifestyle of Chief Keef. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to see more videos just like this one. Feel free to hit the notification bell as well to be notified whenever we upload. Also, comment down below on who we should do a finance video on next. That's all I have for today. I'm out.